Vivian Cass's homosexual identity formation model is a fundamental theory related to LGBT identity development. It was created in 1979 by Cass. This theory was one of the first to treat LGBT people as standard and relevant in a heterosexual society. Homosexuality, in turn, was not treated as a misfortune state of being. Cass went on to create a 6-stage process of lesbian and gay identity development. These are meant to be followed in order, although some people can visit some stages at different points in their life. The 6 stages included confusion, comparison, tolerance, acceptance, pride, and synthesis. Some critiques of this model include the nature of social stigma and social or cultural factors that impact different identities. This theory is canonical because its relevance pertains to identity development in a large portion of the population, as well as its ability to adapt over social changes and time.
This stage model comes with many intricacies. Different paths exist in each stage, although a forward momentum is maintained. It is meant to describe the process by which a person comes first to consider and later to acquire the identity of homosexual as a relevant aspect of self. It is built on the interpersonal congruence theory, which is a process by which an individual tries to obtain congruence, similar to a positive self-concept, by fully aligning their sense of self, behavior, and perspective, and how they're viewed by others. In Stage 1, identity confusion, the individual is characterized by examining their thoughts and behavior and asking themselves, do these things mean that I am homosexual? And having internalized different messages about what it means to be LGBT, the individual reflects on themselves and wonders if specific things about them mean that they are in fact gay, something that they most likely never considered before. In Stage 2, identity comparison, the person has more or less determined that the thoughts and behaviors they exhibit mean they are homosexual, and they begin to wonder how their life might have changed. Often they experience some pain because of the thought that everything they once imagined for themselves can no longer be true. Concerned for how this will make everyone else feel, many people start to experience a feeling of alienation, and dependent upon their reaction, which may be healthy or unhealthy, can move past this need to compare and contemplate. Stage 3, identity tolerance, occurs after a person has figured out that they are homosexual and moved on from comparing it to their previous thoughts. They are ready to consider what all of this actually means. Naturally, they reach out to members of the LGBT community to begin learning about and experimenting within this new gay subculture. Depending on how they are received by those they meet and their attitudes towards the community, they may come to love and embrace their homosexual identity, reject it, or seek new and different ways to understand it. Stage 4, identity acceptance, occurs when someone has accepted their homosexual identity and experience it as normalized by increased interactions with the LGBT subculture. Still, the influence of that culture matters, as many people find its values and customs do not fit them, wherein they must find other, likely heterosexual, communities where they feel their identity is supported. Either way, in this stage, the person is primarily concerned with fitting into both gay and straight culture freely. In Stage 5, identity pride, the individual begins to resent the heteronormative establishment, for they have learned of and possibly experienced its oppressive nature by this point. They participate in activism within the subculture and may depart from heteronormative ideals and behavior, such as traditional gender roles and marriage. Lastly, in Stage 6, identity synthesis, the individual no longer scorns heterosexuals abjectly and finds environments full of diverse people that support them. Here, the homosexual identity becomes less salient and exists in tandem with other identities. They are able to integrate it into their whole life and feel an overall positive sense of self.
Because Cass's theory is a linear model, it would suggest that if someone were to stray from the path, they wouldn't have followed the selected path and would have developed wrong or would not have developed completely. Cass assumes binary gender roles. Because of this, Cass excludes several different populations from this study. Cass chooses to use a social normality as pertaining to gender. Cass makes no mention of the population interviewed for the study. She does not account for the identity or possible cultural differences among the people that were surveyed that could have greatly impacted the applicability of this model. In this way, she is practicing willful blindness. Because Cass does not go into detail about the population interviewed, we can only make the assumption that the study happened in Australia with people from Australia, as that is where Cass is from. The culture in Australia vastly varies from the culture in America, and thus may not be appropriate or applicable here in the United States.
Cass's model of homosexual identity has been the foundation for other sexual identity theories. Published in 1979, Cass's theory is futuristic for its time, considering the recent LG civil rights movement and gay marriage legalized in 2015. When reconstructing this theory, we must stay true to Cass's concepts. This includes her emphasis on environment's effect on identity formation. However, times have changed since Cass created this theory. While many of the stages still hold true to this day, recent legislation, political climate, and societal views may alter the 6 stages. In addition, another aspect to consider when reconstructing Cass's theory would be the intersections of identity relating to LG identity development. For example, a white woman's identity development will have differences from a black man's. Canonical theory should account for intersectional identities so we can better apply theory to all students.